Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome again to one more. Oh, shoot. Hold on. For some reason, one account wasn't working. All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome again to one more broadcast of Women Empowered Live. I am your host, Pastor Danielle McCoy, and we come to you every Wednesday at 12 noon to bring you the story and just the what's going on in the life of a phenomenal woman in our community and abroad. And we just want to make sure that nobody misses this. So do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that share button, let someone else know that we are on because we are in for a treat today. I already feel so good in my spirit about this interview because of the conversations that we have had off screen. But this broadcast is being brought to you, of course, by eChurch International. eChurch is the place where people meet God and Christians are equipped. And you can get in touch with us by reaching out to us via email, echurchint@gmail.com. If you are a woman or know of a woman who you feel would be a good guest for our show, please contact us. We would love to meet them so that we can share all of the amazing things that God is doing in their lives. Also, we have a phone number. You can contact us at 470-729-0406. We would love to hear from you. Well, we're going to go ahead and get into this interview because I want to use all 45, 50 minutes that we will use in conversation from getting the wealth of knowledge from our wonderful guest today. She is none other than Rosalene Horace. And she is so many amazing things. She's a mother. She's a wife. She's an entrepreneur. She is just doing so many great things in the community, has been a staple in the business community here in Columbus, Georgia for many years. And I'll let her get into all of the timeline, everything. But I'm just glad to have you. And Rosalene, welcome to Women Empowered.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I appreciate it. Thank you for thinking of me. I really appreciate this. I'm happy to be here.
Well, like we were talking offline, we've known of each other for years. I've seen, of course, everybody's been to your events now. And I have seen so many of the amazing things that you've done from afar. And when I saw that, well, thank you too. A couple of years ago, you invited me to sit with you all at the Women's Empowerment event.
Empowerment lesson.
And that was absolutely amazing. And then I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw that you're making a change with what you all do with the beauty honors. And I said, you know what? She would be a great guest. Let's get this on because I know being a pastor's wife for a while and putting together events and things at church, it can be taxing. It will take a whole lot out of your soul. And I know that there are.
Oh, girl, yes. It's a lot. I mean, it's tiring. But the climax of it all it makes it all worth it. The day of the event, it makes it all worth it. But I will not lie. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of emotion because I can't speak for anybody else. But
Mhm.
with you being a pastor's wife and having church events, I know that you have a passion for it. So when you're passionate about something, you're emotionally tied to it too. You know what I'm saying? It's not just business. Your emotions are all in it too. And I think that's the part that makes it better but harder. You
Mhm.
know, but I enjoy it. I celebrated 10 years of the beauty honors here in Columbus in December.
Mhm.
Um, but before that I did the hair connection for 15 years. So, been doing events for a long time.
Right. Let's talk about this. Well, we're gonna let you introduce yourself in a minute, but I was gonna drop this nugget about the hair connection and the other events that you were doing because this was back in the day when Andre was alive.
Yeah,
And I
right.
think that's the first time that I remember coming to one of your events or seeing and knowing who you were because he would get all of us cute girls to be his model in there, and it was like so many people, and I was just like, wow. And I didn't know exactly like who was all behind it, but even then, it was just such a big event. It brought everybody in the community together, especially who's in the cosmetology community. And it just made us feel like Columbus had something going on because too much wasn't going on. It's still not. But definitely back then, it was like dry. So you brought some life to this city. But before we go any further, I do want to take a step backwards and let's present and introduce you to those that may not be completely familiar with who you are and what you do. Can you tell us about your family life, about your entrepreneurial journeys as far as the businesses that you own, and just who is Rosalene Horace?
Well, my name is Rosalene Horace. Columbus is my home. I'm a 1990 graduate of Harvey High School. We're about to have our 35th class reunion. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a salon owner. January was 25 years for Loose Ends Beauty Salon. And some people know the story, but some don't. I actually, when I was in middle school, it was junior high school back then, at
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Junior High School, I knew that I wanted to be a salon owner, and I knew that I wanted the name of it to be Loose Ends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you don't remember, there used to be a group out of Britain called Loose Ends. So for those of you out there listening, if you don't remember, just go on YouTube and type in Loose Ends Slow Down. When you hear the song, you will immediately remember the group. Songs still sound good today after all these years, but I immediately knew that I wanted a salon called Loose Ends. So I was like 12, 13. I didn't know nothing about calling things out, manifesting. I didn't know nothing about any of that. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. And so when I finished school, I actually went into the Army Reserves. I'm a medic. So I went into reserves. I came back, went to CBCC for a little while, and then I went to Columbus Tech, and I just enjoyed it. I'll be honest. Columbus Tech was some of the best days of my life. I was really fulfilling the dream, and I was around other people that had the same vision. You know what I mean? And so those were some good days. And I left there and I started working at a salon called Lions Mane. And then from there, I went to the Talk of the Town on Buena Vista Road. Those were
I
some amazing
remember.
days. Those were some amazing days at Talk of the Town under the leadership of Mr. Ernest Hightower. And
Mm-hmm.
from there in 2000, I opened up Loose Ends. And since then, we started off doing a hair show called The Hair Connection. We started off on Fort Benning at the NCO Club. That was the place to be at the time. Remember Boss's Night things. um, Left there and went to the Bradley Theater, from there to the Trade Center. And I did my last hair show in 2011, and from there we started the beauty honors. I just felt like stylists needed to be honored and recognized. The hair show was good. Now it was good, for that season. You know what I'm saying? Some things just have a season. It was good for that season, and I felt like it was time to do that. Now, in addition to beauty, my husband is also an entrepreneur. He's a photographer, horse photography, and we also do some. We have a very small rental property portfolio. That we're hoping to grow soon. And I would suggest, now that I mentioned that, I would suggest that anybody that is a hairstylist, salon owner, get another stream of income, because you just never know, which we're talking offline, and I didn't go into detail with you. But I have been out of the salon full time since December of 2020. Um, Not because I wanted to be, but because I started having issues with my back.
Mm-hmm.
Just all of the standing, my back, my joints, my neck, my hips, my thighs, my ankles,
Mm-hmm.
all those things. But so I've done a lot of physical therapy, a lot of, rest in my body. And now I'm just in prayer, and I'm just like, Lord, I think I'm ready to get back into the salon. So, but it won't be like it was before, it'll be part-time, but that is my goal, to get back in the salon. I miss it. I miss the people. I miss the atmosphere, really. And what was the other question? What else? What else am I saying?
Oh, you've hit it. I think
Okay.
you've hit it all. I do want to back up with a couple things, because when you were talking about being out of the salon, but is the salon still open now with booth renters, or do you have a partner there, or did you close it and then you'll be reopening?
I still have, the salon is still open, thank God. I have three ladies, three stylists that are there, that are available to take appointments.
Okay.
So, you can always call the salon, 706-221-4445. And we are a appointment only salon. The ladies in the salon, they're seasoned stylists, so they already have a clientele. And Danielle, you would be familiar with that. So it's
Okay.
you really need to call for an appointment. I wouldn't advise you to walk in.
Hmm.
If you did, you probably would be able to make an appointment, but not like that day. Because
Right. And I want to, well, look, we're going to be jumping all over the place, but I want to say this too, because when you said that, a lot of people try to get into the beauty business, and they don't have the experience and the seasoning in it. And a lot of times people will try to just be operators and not have the experience of being in the salon. And sometimes it just doesn't work. And you need to follow the boundaries and guidelines of when you find a great stylist, stick with them, because there's so many people that's up and down. I mean, and we'll get into that later. But I just want to say that I am so
Mhm.
proud of you that you were able to stay in it, because I was telling you offline, I didn't stay in it, but I kind of just happened happened into it. I got pregnant at 19 with my first daughter, and there was a lady at my church that said, "Well, why don't you go to cosmetology school?" And she was in the class. Let me tell you how long ago this was. There was a place called Meadows
Meadows College.
Cosmetologist.
Uh-huh.
That's where I started. And then I actually ended up at Southeastern. But that's when I initially went and didn't finish all the hours that had my baby, and then went back. So that's how long that's how long ago it was.
I
But
remember Meadows
I'm glad, and I
College.
didn't use it then though. I went through life in several different things, and it was like that fallback for me because I needed the income, and daycare was high then, like it's high now. And
Uh-huh.
I needed the flexibility as well. So sometimes,
They
and
don't
I said
that.
that to say that
Hmm.
sometimes you don't understand too why people set their appointments and only work by appointments, but being self-employed in the salon, it gives you the flexibility to still manage other areas of life and still have appointments. So if you set your boundaries and your time to work, you can still live and enjoy life. And that's what I loved about it. And that
Hmm.
thrust me into entrepreneurship. And I found out, hey, I can call the shots. In all the areas of my life, I can call the shots. And I'm not dissing anybody who has a regular job with a 9 to 5 in corporate America, whatever, but that's what worked for me.
Exactly. And everybody's path is different. And what works for
Mm-hmm,
everybody is different. I was talking to a young lady. I went to an event Saturday night, and I didn't know the young lady that sat next to me, and she just, started asking questions about herself. And I was asking her, what are you doing? She said, well, I'm trying to decide. She said, I have 5 children. I'm trying to decide. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so she was like, I'm trying to find something where I can go to work and be home. Her baby, her young
mm-hmm,
was going to be going to pre-K this year. So she was like, I'm trying to find something where I can go to work and then I can be back, by the time my baby is out of school. And I was like, you know what, listen, take it from me. If you can do that, that would be perfect. Because when I look back now, I didn't realize how much control I had. Like you were saying, how we had the flexibility. I didn't realize at the time how much control I had because everybody was busy. So if you weren't booked and busy, if you weren't working those long hours, it seemed like you weren't doing it right, or so I perceived
mm-hmm.
at my young age. But I was telling her, I said, you know what, this I was actually Ayana. Hey, Ayana, I was going to tell you she would be a great person to interview. So
Well,
you
I
know what,
actually
that's confirmation.
interviewed her. She was the first because we are segment 9. She was the first one. I
Oh, really?
interviewed her for her book 9 weeks ago.
Watch. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it then. But I told her, I said, if when I look back now, because my children are 14 months apart, they're grown now. They're 21 and 22, y'all. Lord have mercy,
Hmm.
that's so fast. But I was telling her, do it all over again. I would work Tuesday through Friday. I would have my first client at 9. I would take my last client at 3 or 4. That way I could go drop them off at daycare, go to work, finish my last client, clean up, go pick up the kids, and we all go home at the same time. You know,
Hmm.
but at that time, I was still taking 6 and 6:30 appointments because some people get off at 5. You know what I mean? And it was accommodating, and I'm not knocking it all, but when you look back, you always see 2020. The vision is 2020. You always see how I could have done something, a little bit better. But I agree with you. It worked for you, and you have to find. I would tell any young stylists, not necessarily by age, but young as far as in the beauty business, find
Hmm.
what works for you and work it. Don't, you can take a look at what everybody else is doing and see what you can pull from them. You know what I'm saying? But find out what works for you and work you. Work you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that's what I'm telling my daughter now. My oldest daughter finally decided to embrace, she had a natural talent with natural hair and has
Okay.
finally started to embrace it. And she's doing hair now. I told her, spend time with your babies, because that was my downfall. I wanted to make the money, and I
And
didn't
need
want, I
to
didn't
make
know
the
how
money.
to tell people no.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I would work like sometimes 9, 10 o'clock at night. But the only good thing was I did have my kids with me in the salon. I made sure I kept the extra room that was their little space. They could
Okay.
go in there. So everybody knew my babies because they were always there. But if I can be honest, that was not the best parenting, because just because somebody's around you doesn't mean that you're spending quality time with them. And I missed a lot of stuff, or they missed a lot of stuff because I had to cancel things because I made the decision to take on a client that I knew was something going on at the school sometimes. And so I told her now what she does is she will not take anybody that's going to run her past 6 o'clock. When she picks that baby up from daycare, but at 6, if you don't have your hair done, then you in bad shape. And I had to keep her from leaving a lady yesterday because she was looking at the clock. She was telling the lady, oh, my baby getting ready to get out of daycare. My mama don't pick him up. I don't know what you're going to do. And I went ahead and picked them up. But that's a rare occasion. So, yes, having those boundaries and that balance. I think for
Balance.
all business owners, we got to have a balance and understand that we can't make all the money. And God is the God that He provides
He
exactly what we
provide.
need.
He's gonna
So
provide.
when we see and put things in order the way that He wants us to put it in order, He'll make sure there's more than enough.
And I'm gonna tell you something too. I'll tell you a quick story. I stopped working Saturdays in 2019. But check this out though. So in 2018, one of my clients, gosh, I can see her face as good as day. I cannot remember her name. But I was like, I said next year I think I'm gonna stop, working on Saturdays. She was like, oh, Ross, I think that'd be a great idea. Da, da, da. We talked about it a little while. That was it. So in January, 1st of February, she called me and she was like, hey, Miss Rosalind, I want to make an appointment for my daughter for the daddy-daughter dance, which is in February, like Valentine's weekend. I want to go ahead and get her on the book. And I know you're not working Saturdays, so let's go ahead and she can come in like on a Friday, or Thursday, whatever. And I was like, girl, I'm still working Saturdays. And she said, Rosalind, no, ma'am, you said you were going to stop working Saturdays last year. She said, you need to go ahead and mark your book. You are not working on Saturdays. And when I got off the phone with her, I said, okay, you know what? She's right. And that Saturday, I let all of my clients know my set because I had my set Saturday appointments. I let
Mhm.
my clients know I'm not working Saturdays. And you know what? It worked out. They all picked a day, any, meeny, miny, mo, that they was gonna come during the week. And I was like, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? What
Mhm.
you have to do is set the boundaries and people will follow suit. They will either follow suit or they will find somewhere else. And it's okay if they find somewhere else to go. It really is okay.
It is okay. This year I did that for the first time in my tax business. So I made the transition. I was a salon owner for 12 years. Learned how to do taxes. I was telling you that story
Mhm.
behind the scenes. My first year in the salon, owning my own salon, learned how to do taxes, and I was burning the candle at both sticks, and I had the light in the middle because I know you and I did talk a while back when we saw each other. You were like, well, how do you like being out of the salon, or why did you change? I was doing too much. And I had to give something up because I was wearing myself out the first part of the year. So, anyways, I still, even after I got out of the salon business, just focus on income taxes. I would work every weekend. I was even taking appointments after church. And this year,
Wow.
I told God, I said, God, I am not going to do anything on Saturdays. I'm not going to take any appointments. And my testimony is when I looked at my end of the year figures for this year, it was more than it's been the entire time, and definitely over the last 5 or 6 years. And I didn't work on Saturdays.
How about it?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Look
wow.
at Chick-fil-A and all the money that they're making, and they're not open on Sundays. If they can do it, I know I can go home and pay attention because I needed this time to heal. Just on a personal note, I needed this time to continue healing from some personal things. And I
Mhm.
kept going, 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 going. And, sometimes we keep going to mask the pain and not to deal with everything. And God said, I need you to give me these 2 days on the weekends so I can work on the inside of you. And I don't regret doing it. And I haven't missed a meal and I haven't skipped a class.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Now, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
When you had the salon and doing the taxes, girl, how did you do that in January? Like, how did you do that in January, February, March through April 15? How did you do it?
Well, when I started and I was upstairs on University Avenue, I
Uh-huh.
had the salon in the one part. I don't even know what's there now. And then there was a suite
Yeah.
next door. So I think what's there now, they have all three of the suites together. But I rented the one suite for the salon. And then I rented the one suite next door for the tax office. And I would have a comb and brush in my pocket and an pen on the other side. And I just ran back and forth, back and forth. It was crazy. Like I didn't even realize it. And then there was a time when the salon was in a totally different physical location. And the tax office was in a different location. I was on Universe Road with Salon. The tax office on University Avenue, and I was literally driving back and forth all day. Because, like I told you, you know, when you're in business, you should have a plan. And I'm not advocating for anybody to not, but I know God will honor our foolishness and give us grace
He
in our
absolutely
foolishness.
will. Babies and
Because
food.
I didn't know, I was just like running myself ragged, and there should have been a better way. Sometimes I just did what I felt like doing. And then after the fact, would look at it and be like, you should have did it differently. And that was one of those moments, but
Mm-hmm.
it is lasting. And I thank God for the grace that He gave me to be able to do that. But I also had to get to enough sense of self-care and understand that now I've got to stop. You know, my babies were at that time when I got out of it. And it was right before I got married, which was a good thing because it gave me time to spend time with my family and be home the remainder of the year. But my babies were, the oldest one was about to graduate high school. And I'm like, I did all of this for her, but I haven't spent that much time as I needed to with her. So God, just let me pull back so I won't miss this latter part of my children's lives.
Mm-hmm. I get it, girl. I get it. And like how you were saying, you were running from one place to another. The thing was, we also had the energy to do it then. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Hey, 10 Carrot, we definitely have to take care of ourselves first, especially thinking about the long run of self. Absolutely, because Rosin, you just summed it up when you talk about we had the energy to do it then. I don't know about y'all, but I laugh at myself sometimes when I wake up in the morning because I feel like somebody put me in a deep freezer all night long. And then I gotta throw myself out and figure out how to just get my body going. It's just not the same
Yeah,
when you reach our
it's not the
wonderful
same.
age. When you
It's
get
not.
over that 40 marker, it's like, okay,
Mm-mm.
things don't feel the same.
No, they don't.
Absolutely. I
No,
want
they
to
do
ask you
not.
this though, and I do want to give a shout out too before we go forward to your father, Mr. James Wade. We love him in the community, and you come from a beautiful set of parents. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure to meet your mother, but I know she's an amazing woman because I'm looking at her
Oh,
daughter.
sweet mama. Yeah.
Yes, and they've been married a long time as well. You and your husband have been married how long?
January was 26 years.
Okay, and then your parents have been married
Oh goodness. Well, I'll be 53 this year, and my brother will be 56 this year. So
a long time.
yeah, it's 57 years, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to
Something
give
like
a shout
that.
out to Mr. Wade. He actually sold me the BMW that I have now,
Oh,
and
wow,
he's
okay.
just
Did you take a
always.
picture? Did you post it?
I did, but you know, I bought it, and that was back in 2019. I haven't bought a new one. I went down there peeking and looking, and I talked with a
Did you
few people.
test drive it? You know, you test drive it, it's all over.
I know it. I said, I'm going. Well, see, and I'm real funny acting. The one that I saw, they only had four door, and I want the more sporty look now because the one that I have is four door, and I don't have any children left at home, and I don't want nobody riding in my back seat. And they didn't have the coupe style in the one that was on the lot, so I told him that I would wait. But he's a great man in this community, very, very poised and businesslike, and I see where you get it from because you're just like, I can tell you're totally business. I'll laugh with you, but at the end of the day, we
You
got to
know
get some
what?
business done.
And you speaking of my dad, I will tell you, I was at top of the town and I moved to Lucennes, and I remember before I opened, I was just moving everything in, and my dad was helping me like get stuff out of the car and set everything up. It was just he
Mm-hmm.
and I was so young, so young and silly.
Mm.
And I was telling my dad, I was like, Dad, I want this to be. I'm so sorry. This is my my house phone. Yep, I still have
Okay.
one. It's just spam. But that's all the people that call us on their spam. But anyway, I was telling my dad, I was like, Dad, I really want this to be an upscale salon. I really want to cater to the doctors' wives and the lawyers and, the nurses and everything, and my dad was like, okay, okay, okay. He didn't tell me how silly I sounded, but what he did tell me was, he said, there's nothing wrong with that. He said, back when I was selling insurance, he said, I wanted that too. He said, but you know what I found out? He said, it's more regular people than it is doctors and lawyers. And he said, I was out and I was buying drinks and doing all these things and networking, all these things. He said, those people didn't do business with me. He said, it
Mhm.
was the common people. He said, and that's what I called myself, the common man's insurance man. And he said, if you have good customer service, if you're polite to your clients, you'll have more clients than you could ever dream of. And
Mhm.
that's what I really based it off of. From that point, like that was like a light bulb went off. It is more regular people than doctors and lawyers.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with catering to them, but
Right.
that was just my young mind. In my mind, this is the way to the money. It's not. If you're kind to people, they will return. And I have, and I'm telling you, and I say this a lot. Like, I was not the best hairstylist. Now I could do a blowout. Now I could do a blow. I'm going to my horn, but I was not the best hairstylist. But I think once I really got myself situated, and it took me a moment to get there, but once I really got myself situated, I was able to get people in and out at a decent hour,
Mhm.
keep the salon clean, keep the books going. You know what I'm saying? And I think that I think that is what worked for me, of course, with the grace of God, because like I said, it took me a minute to get there.
Mhm.
Because for a while, I'm gonna be honest with you, Danielle, and I don't know if there are any other stylists on the line. I said 10 Carat and Amayana. It took me a minute to learn the art of getting people in and out.
Mhm.
Like Danielle, and I'm sure you can attest to this, back in the day, it was just understood when you go to the shop, you're gonna be there for a while. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know why it took me a minute. And when I look back, and when I hear about people standing in the salon all night, I be like, they still doing that. They
Mhm.
still I thought folks had stopped doing
Right.
that. But anyway, that's my story. It just evolution. It just takes a minute to evolve. It takes a minute to get things right.
Right.
So
And so we do want to, because Ayana put something up here perfect, and we'd already talked about offline that we would talk about this. I guess we'll transition into that. She put up here mentorship. I need help with that. There are a lot of things that me and you talked about that you don't get in cosmetology school. You're gonna learn them finger waves. You're gonna get that roller set and that
that
rod
roller set.
set and that rod set and then pin curls that you probably really only use unless you are taking the curls that you already got and pinning them up for the night. But
Okay,
you
okay.
get
And
that.
that's about it.
But learning how to become entrepreneurs for real and run your business and how to get the flow of traffic so that you're providing good customer service. As I was saying to you, congratulations so many times over, because you own your business location. And that's one of the mistakes that I made in all of these years, about to fix it. But the mistake that I made, going from renting location to location and not becoming owners.
Now, now let me speak on a couple of things. Let's go back to, yeah, they don't teach everything in beauty school, because I don't want to forget anything. They don't teach everything in beauty school. And even after I finished cosmetology school and got my diploma certificate in that, I went back and I took some business courses. But when I look back, I'm sure I applied some things. But the thing about the beauty industry is, in my opinion, to get business classes on the salon structure, you need to go to some beauty business classes. To me, this business is so unique. And Danielle, I know you can attest to this. It's so unique. A lot of things that would apply in a regular business, they kind of don't apply, because
Mhm.
you're dealing with people.
Right.
You're not cooking food, you're not selling a
Mhm.
car, you're dealing with people. The people are the sales, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit different. You're dealing with personalities. The business classes helped, but even with the taxes, different things I should have been doing with my taxes and stuff. I don't know. It's tough. It can be managed now. It can be managed, obviously, because there are a lot of people
Mhm.
manage it. But even with that, somebody even saying, "Hey, make sure you're paying into your self-employment tax."
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you are a self-employed worker. Hey,
Mhm.
you need to pay into this so that if you become disabled, you are able to pull from that later on. You know what I mean? Or when you get ready to retire. So the business classes are important. And I don't know exactly what's going on with the Bronner show right now. They haven't been in Atlanta in a couple of years, but I
Right.
found that going to the different trade shows and going to those business classes that are catered to the beauty industry, I think that's what helped me the most,
Mhm.
and being around like-minded people. Because when you go to the Bronner brothers, it used to be twice a year, you start seeing the same faces. And then now, I might not remember your name, but I remember you from not share at the class, we
Mhm.
can talk. Well, girl, so how's your salon doing now? You know what I'm saying? So you can really talk to people and find out from people in real time what's working for them in their salon and what they used to do and what they're not doing now because it didn't work because of XYZ or ABC. And then there was something else I wanted to touch on that you said. It was mentorship. Was it mentorship? I can't remember. Gosh, I knew I was going to forget it. I should have wrote it down. You said something about business. You said that about business and mentorship, but it was something else I wanted to touch on. Was it school? I can't remember. It's going to come to
Well,
me.
I'm sure it's gonna come back to you.
I
See,
hope
that's
so.
look. I know that I'm a few days over 45, so I keep my pen and paper handy too. But
Right,
we
right. Gotta
all
take his
we
notes.
all forget sometimes. But you are right. Like even knowing how to set the right climate in your salon and how to keep it, how to have the balance of being friendly with your clients, but still keeping it professional so that they will still respect you. It's just so many things that you need to
Mhm.
talk to somebody else about, because I
Mhm.
remember my first few years, but it didn't take me long, just kikiing too much with a certain group of people. You can't be friends on a certain level with all of your clients or a majority of them and then still want them to respect your business, because you're going to come too close and just going to blur the lines. It's going to become a conflict of
It
interest.
is.
But you
It
can
is.
be friendly. You
You
can
can
be
be
jealous of
friendly,
them.
but not friends.
Right.
There's a
Exactly.
difference, and friendly is good. Friendly is good. Now, I will tell you this. Going to the different classes, one of the things that they tell you is to not get personal. The whole time they're in your chair, you're supposed to be upselling. You're supposed to be setting them
Right.
up for. I did go to DCU, Dudley Cosmetology University, and they
Mhm.
would always tell you keep your station clean, keep all of your products right there in a line. Before you put anything on their hair, you show it to them. You let them smell it. This is what I'm using on your hair. I'm using it for XYZ. And so at the end, when you finish their hair, it is for you to be able to say to them, would you like to buy any of these products that, I used on your hair today? And I get it. All of that is business. And I did take that into consideration, having my own salon, especially when I used to retail. But really and truthfully, you really have to make a huge effort to keep those lines like separated, because if someone comes to your salon every 2 weeks and they are a client that has been with you for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, I can't keep talking to them about this scalpel. Okay? Because
Mhm.
I just talked to her about it 14 days ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at this point, you really do have to try to keep the conversation neutral, because it is going to get personal at some point.
Mhm.
Because guess what? If I see you every 14 days for even 1 year, I see you more often than I see my cousins. You see what I'm saying? So we are like family. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like you got to chat, but you got to know where to cut it off, where to, you know what I'm saying, to not make it personal. Because here's the thing, with clients, people do come and go, and you don't want to take it so personal when and if they do leave.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you want to keep it business. It's tough sometimes, but you just got to try. When they start asking you stuff, you just got to steer the conversation.
Because I lost a few dollars that way, and because I really needed the money, that kind of reeled me back in. Because a lot of times, like even with my tax clients, I have tax clients that, for example, may have been personal friends or family members that came to me for taxes. And when you sit down in front of me, yes sir, no sir, no ma'am, yes ma'am, you become a client in my brain, and we're gonna deal with the business of why you're here.
Yes.
And we're not gonna talk about, girl, last week so and so did nothing. Mm-mm. We're gonna talk about the business, or some positive conversation, because I want to hit here and then we'll move. Is those of us that are Christian entrepreneurs, we understand that nobody comes in our presence, whether they sit in our salon chair, whether they walk in the tax office, anywhere that we go is an opportunity to pour into someone else.
Yes.
Why would you spend that time with a lot of kikiing and foolishness? I mean, it's cute sometimes to laugh. It's great for the soul.
It's great for the soul.
But if you've got 2 hours with somebody, 3 hours with somebody, like you say, every 2 weeks, why not y'all pour into one another? Why not encourage and uplift one another? You don't have to know all their business to do that, but just,
Mhm.
positive conversation. Because I think that's one of the things, as Black women especially, that sometimes we don't do enough. I hate to see these videos with Black women out in the street fighting, tearing each other's clothes off, pulling the wigs off and everything else. And I'm like, that's your sister. Why are y'all out here recording and you're
Why?
doing all of this drama and foolishness? you could take this time to pour into one another and empower each other. And I guess it's going to transition me into what we're doing, because you decided, and our topic today is beauty beyond the basics, because you decided that just doing hair was not going to be enough. You wanted to pour into other people. And we've talked about doing the hair shows, and that was a way that you poured into the community. We all got together, we had something wonderful to do, but then you took it to another step. You went beyond the basics, because other people might have been doing hair shows too, but you decided to take a step further and honor other stylists. And you started what is known as, I got a picture of it up here because it's beautiful. I love your art. Your website is tremendous. The Beauty Honors. And it's
Thank
actually coming
you.
up for the first time in Atlanta, Georgia. Talk to me about the history of the Beauty Honors, why you started it, and what we can expect. Because I had this excerpt from your site that gives a brief synopsis. As Horace
Okay.
Empowerment Hallmark fundraising program, the Beauty Honor serves as a dual purpose, celebrating excellence in the beauty industry while also raising crucial funds to cut my thing off. What does Linda say? I didn't know it was cut off until I started reading it.
That's
For
okay.
crucial funds, and I believe the funds go toward giving scholarships, correct?
It goes towards giving scholarships. So
Oh,
the Beauty Honors is a vision that was given to me by God. I mean, I'm going to say 25 years ago. Matter of fact, more than 25 years ago, because I've been a salon owner 25 years. The vision came to me when I was working at Talk of the Town. I was just afraid to pull the trigger. I was scared to move on. I wasn't quite sure what to do or whatever. But he gave me that vision to recognize stylists, and recognize different areas in the beauty industry, with the makeup artistry, the barbers, the salon owners, lash techs, nail techs, so I always tell people, look, I'm not that smart. God gave it to me. He gave the vision to me to do that. And I love it. It has, even to me, the basis of it was to lift the beauty community up in a positive light. Here lately, just online, we've just been seeing and hearing all kinds of things. And even for myself, I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, I felt like, as a stylist, people looked at me like, "Oh, you just fix hair." You know what I mean? Even when I would go to buy a car, or we were looking for a house, or just, it was just, "Oh, you just fix hair." Because 30 years ago, the beauty, and it was different than it is now. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
It was different, but the Beauty Honors is a way that we honor and award beauty professionals, and it is our fundraiser. It is our fundraiser, because at Horse Empowerment, we do quite a few different things. We have an event called the Track and Field Honors, where we recognize track and field students, and we recognize them. They get awards in each of their categories, and we give out a track and field scholarship called the Richard Lane Campbell Track and Field Scholarship. Is $1,000. This year we were able to raise enough money to give out two $1,000 scholarships. Richard Campbell was one of my church members. He was also a police and detective here in Columbus. Graduated from Hardaway High School, went on to full ride at University of Georgia. It was a great athlete. And he used to video the hair shows for me. So a lot of the recordings that I upload, Mr. Campbell actually did those. The other program that we have is called Beyond the Diploma. Beyond the Diploma is it is a very casual workshop. It is where juniors and seniors in high school talk to students that are in college. It is a it helps students transition from high school to college.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much youth led. I'm just there to facilitate, but it's pretty much youth led. The college students are telling the high school students, if this is your major, you need to be taking these classes in high school. You need to be looking at this school. I know at one of them, this girl was saying she wanted to do something. I can't remember what it was. And she was saying what her major was. And one of the college students was like, your major probably needs to be biology, because you can go in so many different medical directions. Like, these are questions I wouldn't have been able to answer, but peer to peer, they can feed each other. Now, this year, this is going to be our first time. We're going to have something called college tours. So, we're trying to raise funds. I'm looking for grant money. And one of the reasons that, well, I'll get to that in a second. The college tours is where we'll take a bus, and we'll have some students and the parents, if the space allows. We'll go and we'll visit some college campuses. Now, it will give students and their parents the opportunity to um, walk the campus. There'll be a guided tour. They'll get to walk the campus, and the guide will be able to show them different areas of the college and talk to some people in financial aid. Now, that vision, the vision for college tours and the vision for the track and field honors came from my personal experience. God gave me the vision, but came out of my personal experience. So my children, back in the day, I was the track mom, used to wear the t-shirt, the whole nine at every track meet. My kids have been running track since middle school. But what I found out was their senior year, when it was time for my daughter to graduate, like I just could not find any track scholarships. Like I was looking and looking, I couldn't find, like you had to be like super duper amazing. And if there was a track scholarship, it was away. You know what I mean? It was far away. And I felt like track just didn't get the same attention as football, baseball, all the things. So now here we are. My kids are getting ready to go to school. I'm out of work. I actually came out of the salon my daughter's senior year. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So, but my daughter had already decided she wanted to go to CSU. Well, then came my son the following year, still out of work. And my husband and I are not college people. Now, Danielle, let me know if I'm talking too long because
Oh,
I'm
no,
trying to keep it short.
good.
Okay. All right. So my husband and I, we're technical. We're not college students. So I didn't know all the protocol. And now I know there are different things that you need to be doing their sophomore year, their junior year, their senior year. You're just getting ready to execute. But I was just starting, and I was not able to take my son on a lot of the visits because I didn't know you have to have appointments. They fill up,
Mhm.
for the guided tours, and it needed to be a guided tour because how can I take my son to Auburn? I don't know the campus. Now you could do an independent, tour of the campus, but it really needs to be guided. But all of the schools had been booking up, and so I wanted to do this. And I hope my message is going across clear. I wanted to do this because even though my kids are in college now, we've situated, we've gotten over that hump. I can breathe now, but I just remember how distraught I was as a parent. Anybody out there that's a parent, just imagine in any situation, not just this, wanting to help your child, needing to help your child, but you can't.
Mhm.
I didn't know how. I knew how to go to Columbus Tech, but that wasn't their pathway. You know what I mean? I could have took him up there and hooked him up with whoever, but that wasn't their path. Their path was a different path, and I didn't even know who to call. You know what I mean? But anyway, so God gave me this vision, and so this is something that we're going to try new in the fall. And this is not meant to be sad because, like I said, we got over the hump, but it just could have been less anxiety had I known, what to do. So the Beauty Honors is a fundraiser. Bring this back full circle. The Beauty Honors is a fundraiser, and it funds Beyond the Diploma, and it funds the Track and Field Honors. And again, hopefully it will help fund college tours later this fall. So, and I wanted to, I remembered what it was when you were
Mhm.
saying that the mistake that you made was not buying your property. It wasn't a mistake. Maybe it just wasn't time. Maybe it just wasn't time. I mean, we've all should have done something differently, but I would tell you, don't even beat yourself up. It's not a mistake because I will tell you, even being owner of a property, it's the same as home ownership. Home ownership is good. It has its perks, but renting does too. Because if you decide to relocate, honey, you call your landlord, you pack up and you're out of here. But if you own the house, honey, you got to shut it down. You got
Mhm.
to pay a mortgage here and there.
Right.
so,
You're
so
right.
there,
And
there are perks to either way. And, so don't beat yourself up, girl. You're doing just fine. Look at you. You look grand. You look fine. So you're doing good.
right. Well, thank you. But because I do have a very small personal portfolio for,
Hmm.
and everything. That's how I ended up once, I transitioned and became a single woman again. It was that rental property to save my life.
Okay. I'm telling
But,
you. Because
and,
then
and
you
and I
you
would
do
just,
real estate too, right?
no, I didn't. But, I've been thinking about it. Since I just want something that I can do still on my own pace and time and be able to make very decent money out of it. So you might be bringing me confirmation because I have it written down in my goals for this year to take the real estate exam to
Really?
have the license and then move forward. Because my daughter's been interested in it as well, and I've always been the type, and it seems like that's how you are when you see and recognize a need in something that you can do. Then you just go ahead and fill it. And I know that because I've been on the entrepreneurship journey and teaching my daughters and my son, this is what can eventually work for you if you want to be your own boss. And because she wants to be in real estate, I said, well, you know what, we could actually start a brokerage.
Do it together.
And I could help start and fund. And then as she gets older, and of course she transitioned it to her children. So we've been thinking about that. So it's good that you mentioned it. And even talking about what you're doing in the community. Now, is this with just young people that are in Columbus, Georgia, part of Muskogee County School District, or does it serve the Tri-City area?
The track and field honors.
Yes, a track
Which one?
field, and then what you're doing with the college tours and beyond the diploma.
Yes, it would be here, the Tri-City area, so Columbus and Phoenix City. We'll try to incorporate the two. Track and field honors is just the 8 Muskogee County School District schools.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Well, we have enjoyed this conversation with you. And before we end, we definitely want to see if there's anybody that's viewing that has any questions, and then we'll come back and drop some more details about the beauty honors and when it's going to be and what they can expect. But I do have, since I'm sitting here with you, and I probably know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask the question.
What's up, girl?
The cosmetology books cannot prepare you for the gray hair. You have to have the gray hair experience to really understand it. And I just don't know what to do. First of all, I'm not ready to embrace it, but I think that's probably what you might say. Sometimes at some point we got to embrace it. But my mother grayed really young, and I didn't realize how young she was until I went back and did the timeline. My baby's 20 and she's 70. So really at my age, she was fully gray. And a lot of wigs and stuff. And Lord, if that gray thing that crept up on me. And I color so fast, so fast. And I'm like, just what? I guess there's some techniques and methods to deal with how fast their new growth is coming in and be able to cover it up. Outside, I'm tired of wigs. I'm so tired of wigs. I don't know what to do. And maybe I might just be answering my own question and try to embrace it. And I tried the blonde for a while. It wasn't as prominent, but it still came through. And then if everything else was good, the edges, you got ugly gray edges. I remember being judgmental. I was standing behind this years ago. I was standing behind this lady in the store. She had a wig on. And then her little natural gray hair down her neck was showing. I was like, I know she know her hair is gray. Child, you can't stop it.
You can't stop it. You just can't stop it. And I'm going to tell you, really, it really just kind of is what it is. But you hit the nail on the head. When you were blonde, it's not as prominent. And that's one of the things with my older clientele, the people that were always wearing black hair, I coaxed them into moving to brown, even brown with some blonde highlights for some of them. When you think about a black piece of fabric and you put something white next to it, that gray hair shows up immediately. But if it's brown, if it's a mixture of brown, when the gray hair starts to come in, the transition is a lot softer than it is if you're talking white hair on top of black. So if you're blonde, you're absolutely right. It's not as harsh. You don't see it as good, but you just got to keep it done. And you're right, the edges is going to show up first. I don't know. I think it's because we're constantly washing our face. We're constantly sweating around the edges, because I've noticed even with myself, the gray hair shows up here quicker than it does here, so, but that's just part of it. I mean, wigs is an alternative, or transitioning into gray, that's an alternative. It's not an option for me. But
it's not an option for me either.
It's not an option for me, baby. I did my edges this weekend. So I just, I'm not ready for it. But some people wear the white hair and it looks amazing on them. But I'm not ready for it. But yes, if you're gray coverage, it's ongoing. It's just, but that's a good thing, because what that means is your hair is growing.
Yeah, it is. It's growing, and I've got plenty of it, but it's just trying to be gray, and I'm not ready for it either. And you're right, T. I think going blonde is going to be the transition. I'm in the middle now at ginger color, and I stopped there, but I think I'm going to just have to go ahead and come see somebody that's really, trying to color your own hair and doing the black and getting the highlight back and all the highlights and stuff done. You'll probably end up making more sense. So
yeah, and I would suggest to anybody, unless you just really want black, at least go with a dark brown instead of a black, because if you try to transition, it'll make the transition easier to brighten it. Lifting black can be hard sometimes. You can lift it, but it's kind of damaging on the hair.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to cut mine off at least probably a good 6 inches. At least about a good 6 inches, and I don't have too much more than that, because I did black for so long, and then I messed up and did the Beijing black. And baby, you can't lift Beijing, honey. I've been trying.
Beijing ain't going nowhere.
I,
We ain't going
I
nowhere.
can't do
It,
that blonde looks good on you too, son. It matches your complexion. So definitely I'm gonna give it a shot. I think y'all looking at some of the last days of the black outside of me getting a little wig over here. But is there anybody that's watching before we go that has any questions for Rosalind? And then what I want to do, but this is how I guess we'll have to handle this if I can do this, Rosalind, is of course, we are just gracious that you all do the interviews, and we don't have a big budget for paying people to come on for the interview, but we do like to sew into something that they are doing. And we could either do one of two things. We could sew into what you're doing with the scholarship program, or we can, I don't know what the ticket cost is for the beauty honors, but if there's anybody that's watching and wants to go to ATL, and what I'll do is just pay Rosalind for the ticket in advance. And you want to be a part of the beauty honors in ATL because she's about to give us a recap on that. Then we can do that. So what would you prefer though? Where's the need of the
you
what
asking
would
me
you
where's the
prefer?
need?
Yes, ma'am. What would you prefer for us to do from
You know
Women
what?
Powered by?
The beauty honors is near and dear to my heart, but because this, and it is my first time in Atlanta, but
Mm-hmm.
if you sold into the college tours, that would be great.
Okay.
Or even if you just sold into horse empowerment, period.
Okay.
That way it can, wherever we need it. You know what I'm saying? Listen,
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
not picky over here. We're
Mm-hmm.
not.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I guess when we get off, if you send me the information, I guess I could look online too and
Okay.
see how to make a donation, because we definitely are so proud of you and grateful for
Thank you
what
so
you are
much. I
doing
appreciate
in
it.
the community to sow back into our young people. And now that I even know that you're doing all of this, I took just a little time over these last 2 years, of course, my healing process, and kind of suspended some of the things that I was doing. But I don't know
Mhm.
if you remember, I was doing a summer camp for several years. And of course,
Mm.
we have young people that have transitioned out of that. I got to get a whole new group to connect with. We started it with House of Mercy because I didn't know that they had, was oblivious to the fact that children were being housed there, and they didn't have any programs at that time that I connected with them for
Oh,
summer.
wow.
So I started sponsoring a summer camp. I think I did my first one in 2012 or 11 or 12.
Really?
Actually, and my ex-husband and I transitioned to become a part of what we were doing at the church once I got married.
Okay.
But I
Hmm.
started it independently, and I'm going to do it independently again. And so I know definitely as time progresses and we get back into that, I want to keep in mind what you're doing with the young people so we can see
I
how
love
it's
that.
the
We can
information
help each other. Absolutely.
that they need, because you're right. There's not a lot of information out there. Smart as I think I am, but I was too, didn't have a degree at the time that my children came out of school or getting to that point. So I didn't know the process. I was just like, y'all go out there and make it happen. And it's just a good thing. Like my middle baby, the pageant baby, she's just so on that already, wanting to have the information. So she did everything herself, from the
Wow.
registration, picking out her school, and all of that. And she just happened to get it right, because we don't come as parents with that knowledge. So it's important for programs like this to exist. So we're just grateful that you have done this work in the community. Hey, Kawana
No,
Lee.
when you do yours, I'm maybe I can help with that, or maybe sponsor lunch one day or something like
Okay.
that for the kids. So yeah, where did you do it? Where did you have it at? Where did y'all get together?
I was doing it actually at the building on University Avenue is where I started. I moved from the shopping center and moved to a house up there. There's a little, some kind of learning program in that house now.
Okay, okay, I thought that was your place. Okay, yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
they used it for the tax office. So since that tax office was there and we didn't do anything with it the rest of the year, I started doing the summer camps there.
It's so good. And you
Mhm.
know what? And even now, and I don't know what you were doing for funding then, but I'm learning. I haven't completely figured out. Girl, you probably could have got some grant money for that.
Oh, definitely,
You know what
definitely.
I
So that's what I'm working on now.
mean? Okay,
is,
okay,
is
okay.
being solid for that. So at least by the time we get to next summer, you're right, 10. At least by the time we get to next summer, then we will have everything in place. And especially with my daughter, it will really help too with her platform. I started it because of knowing the need there, and then having children in the same age group. It gave my children an outlet as well as
Mm-hmm.
with a
Mm-hmm.
to the community, and that's one of the things that she wants to do with her platform as well, is empowering young women on self-love. So we're
Oh,
we're putting
wow.
together now the curriculum of what we'll focus on, so next summer we'll be able to do it. So I'm excited. And 10, we'll have to have you come down the road and do like some kind of music workshop or something, because you're just
Yes.
multifaceted as well, and I need to get you on as well to
Now,
interview.
is this the 10 carat they used to do here?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yes. So are you still doing hair? Is she still doing hair?
I don't know. Are you still doing hair? I know she's doing like a lot of promotion with music and artist development and some great things
Okay.
in the Atlanta area. But I need to get you on 10. So don't you go in. I'm gonna send you a message so we can schedule
Yes, yeah,
that.
and I might need to get with her before the beauty honors. So yes,
Oh yeah, she
you
was
said
great
talent
hostess,
development. Okay.
promosters. She
So
would be.
so maybe get us an artist or something. But
Yeah.
we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk offline. I think we're friends on Facebook, but if not, I'll send her a request.
Okay, yeah, she would be a great host. I don't know if you have all of that lined up, but she knows how to carry an event and put it together. She's just absolutely awesome as far as getting people
Okay.
engaged. So, but yeah, so I guess I don't have any questions pop up. This is our last round for questions, guys, and then we're gonna allow Rosalind to just give us some final remarks and thoughts and just any words of encouragement. Say I'm a young woman, and whether it's the beauty industry or not, I want to work for myself and nobody around me has really done it before. What is just some
Mm.
positivity and words of encouragement to help calm my fears so that I would have just the strength to go forward in it? What would you share from your experiences um, to encourage me?
So let me make sure I'm understanding. A young person that wants to do something that they're not seeing done already. Is that what you're
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah, huh?
Honestly, definitely pray and ask God for guidance. And I always say, Lord, make it plain because I don't want to miss it, but
Right.
pray and ask God to make it plain, give you some clarity on the situation. But what I would say, use what's available to you. Use YouTube, use TikTok. Look, see if you see somebody that's doing something similar to what you're doing. Lord, lead me to somebody that I can kind of follow. You know what I mean? I would do that, but I will also say too, ask God to give you the, as my pastor used to say, the stick to itness with
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're doing. Ask God to give you a vision. Ask Him to lead you and guide you, because even if you have someone that's your mentor, their vision still may be different than yours.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is, when you have a vision, it may sound silly to other people, but this is the thing. God gave the vision to you, not them, so they can't see what you see. So I honestly, if you're trying to do something that you haven't seen anybody else do, you're going to have to really depend on the Lord. Because if you've never seen it, then you got to depend on God. Same with the beauty honors. I had never seen anybody do an award show specifically catered to the beauty industry. So it did seem weird when I was doing it. You know what I mean? And I will tell you too, whoever this young person is that's trying to do something that's never been done, you got to be okay with being embarrassed sometimes. You got to be okay with seeming strange or awkward sometimes. I'm gonna be honest, that's just part of the journey. But if it's, I will say this though, if it's a God-given vision, baby, it's on.
And that's what I wanted to hear, because
It's
sometimes
on.
they say, well, you the preacher, so you always gonna say trust in God. And I wanted to
Yeah.
put the message out there that there are other women that are successful in doing things in life, and we all resort back to, or the most of us, because I know some people don't believe in God, but the most of us that do have a relationship, we resort back to the place of put God first and allow Him to lead you and guide you and direct your footsteps. And of course, add the education and everything else that goes along with it, but depend on His guidance. Because, like I told you, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had some children to feed.
And they got fed, didn't they? And they got
Absolutely.
fed.
They got fed, didn't miss a
Hmm.
meal. I fed all of them this morning. And they haven't missed a meal. I've been a parent now 31, almost 32 years. And
Wow.
the scripture is true. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed beg for bread. So
Beg
I'm
for
going to put it
bread.
out here. I'm going to use my moment to just minister in this quick moment and say
Please.
that if you don't have a relationship with God, get one. Get one, because that's the start of it. Because you can get benefits from a person that you are close with and have a relationship with, but you walk across the street to a stranger, y'all don't have that connection.
Yeah.
And um God can, having a relationship with him can open up so many wonderful doors and avenues in your life personally, just with your mental health and just how to make it through life. Because there's been some times that I thought I was going to lose my mind, but God said, you belong to me. So his Holy Spirit will comfort you. It will guide you, will lead you, will teach you how to navigate through this experience of life and have sweatless victories. There's some times when you fight in your own will and power that you don't even have to fight when you got God on your side. So I'm gonna leave it right there. But Rosalene, before we get your final remarks and a recap on the beauty honors and what to expect and how to get tickets and all of this other stuff, 10 Carat did put on here, and I've got her number, and I'll send it to you probably because I didn't know if you wanted me to put it on the screen or not. 10. She says, I'm down for whatever. I'm ready. No hair at all except on my own. And she did send her number. And I know that I think for the beauty honors, I think I maybe came to the first one, but I haven't been in a long time. And shame on me. So I'm going to
listen, life gets in the way. Okay.
That's okay. But I'm going to check my calendar and see if I have an availability on that day, because I would love to travel to Atlanta and just be in support of what you are doing. Definitely. It's time for me to come back out of my shell. Eyes healed. But yes, ma'am. So, but before we leave, and then after you say your final remarks, I will pray and we'll end the show.
Okay.
But are there any final remarks that you want to give us about the beauty honors? When is it? How do we get a ticket? How do you even pick the honorees for it, especially being in a new area?
Well, this is our first time in the new area, and so the process will be the same. I don't pick the nominees. The general public will nominate people, and like as we was talking offline, I'm getting the website revamped now, so we'll start taking we'll start taking nominations for the 1st of July. So
Okay.
by that time, we'll have done all the troubleshooting with the site, making sure everything is good. And so I don't pick the nominees; the general public does, and so that's how we'll get everybody. And Sunday, October the 12th. We're going to have it at the Epicenter, Riverside in Atlanta, very close right there at Six Flags. And we're just hoping for it to be a great event. Again, a vision God gave me a long time ago. I've been wanting to go to Atlanta for years, and I felt like, to be honest, Rosa, turned 52. How long you gonna wait, girl? So what, I'm just ready to do it. I'm just trusting God, and just ready to see, just ready to see what's what. The grand vision, the big vision is to, as I was saying to you, was to take the beauty honors on the road. I still want to do the beauty honors here in Columbus, but to just take the beauty honors on the road, Atlanta, Montgomery, Birmingham. I would like to do that. If it's God's will, then that's what we'll be doing. So at this point, we are seeking sponsorship. If y'all know any businesses or corporations in the Atlanta area, or even if you know a business or corporation here in Columbus that's interested in sponsoring something or getting some some marketing or whatever in the Atlanta area that you think would be interested, let me know. Danielle, you've done events, so you already know sponsorship is very important.
Very,
So,
very. If
so right
not, you
now
got to
that's
pay
what I'm
for it yourself.
okay. Right. So
Uh-oh. Did we lose it? Can you guys still hear us? See, I think we have gotten frozen. Well, we're so grateful for this program today. And we are going to move on and do our prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you so much for this awesome opportunity to share our information. And I pray blessings over Rosalene and everything that they do, God, for Horace Empowerment, all of the beauty honors, even for her salon, going back into her salon. God, I pray that you would just continue to bless the work of her hand. For all those who have watched, God, we pray that they were empowered and encouraged, and that their lives would be different by some information that they received today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.